currently. So I mean, yeah.
I will not allow you content creators to jump back and forth on each side of the fence. One of my favorite things about this space is all you dudes that criticize me at every twist and turn of my journey. Eventually, if you're successful enough, y'all will go through it too. Adam, the last few times we talked, you were telling me that you make all of the money in the universe. You were telling me that your bank account is higher than it's ever been in the world. And now you're sitting there telling me about how you weren't financially profitable.
Well, I'm talking about one very specific part of the business, right?
Try to clean it up.
Adam,
Try to make it make sense.
I don't know why you're talking like that, like I'm lying, but there's a lot of different revenue streams. Some are very good, some are very much not as good, right?
Very good, very much not as
Was
good.
no jumper profitable or not? And was it through the help of all the people that you had on board?
Yeah, of course. No, but yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too deep into our finances, but basically, like, there were things that were working and there were things that weren't working. And to a certain extent, I just started to feel like the system we had going of like, oh, let's just get a bunch of homies to be hanging out on camera every night on live stream. You know, it's good for some people. It works for a lot of people. AD and T-Rail, they're doing great for it. But at a certain point with us, it just kind of didn't really seem like that was necessarily the future of where the business was going.
Okay, so then what do you say to the people that say it just looks like you got a whole bunch of black people from the hood to help you during turbulent times, and the second that everything was great and money was up and projections are high, you fucking wanted to kick everybody to the curb so you can pocket more of it for yourself?
Well, I mean, they left. They chose to leave.
You dodging every
yeah,
fucking
they chose
thing.
to leave, but
if you was the type of person who wasn't trying to take advantage of another race and culture for money, when somebody say, what do you say to something that looks like you're taking advantage of black people, you could have said, I'm in it for the love. My business model was that. So I love the culture for these reasons and make it more personal, and then you'll be believable. But to say, they left because they wanted to leave and try to deflect off every fucking single question possible, you just seem like a lying piece of shit.
initially, it started because you wanted to make changes. And I believe that words have power. And I think that your words are programming, even if it programs you. So I believe that your actions led to the exact result that you may have wanted. What do you say to that?
Yes.
I wouldn't say the exact result that I wanted, because all I wanted to do was make some small incremental changes, you know, moving AD from one podcast to off and having to do the other stuff. That was what I was trying to accomplish, and did not expect at all that it would turn into this, you know, atomic bomb of everybody piecing out.
So who's on the network right now?
There's a bunch of people. You know, I did my podcast this week with my boy Court, and we had Bootleg Kev sub in. I'm not necessarily sure what we're going to be doing necessarily, but, you know, we still got Poetic Flacco, Almighty Suspect, Gene Abused, Sharp. There's more too. They're going to kill me for not remembering everybody, but there's definitely, you know, my boy Icon. There's a few more, but we got a bunch of different people that are still doing stuff on the network.
All right, so you didn't lose everybody.
No, but it would be fair to say that a large percentage of the most popular hosts have gone their own way.
Well, why do you have all these other people on the network if you want to be a smaller based media company that's a little more focused?
Well, we still need people, right? We still got to have people. I still need people to talk to. We still need people to do the news and everything. We still got a bunch of people who are still excited about all this.
Not if you don't want to run a network. If you don't want to run a network, then you don't need any of those people.
Okay, when I say network, I'm kind of talking about like the thing you tried to do where it's like, okay, let's create two podcasts that Joe Budden is not on the same network, and let's just see how it does. Right now we have the news, which is kind of like a consistent round table with different personalities, and that's really like one of the things we have going that lets us try out different personalities, you know, and see how people mesh with each other. But yeah, I mean, I would say that, you know, my ambition isn't to have, you know, 8 podcasts on the network. I feel like that would be a lot.
Okay. I'm going to ask you something that I've been trying to find an answer for all morning long, and I just can't come up with it.
Mm.
Why would you have someone on your show called the Perd Busters?
You gotta ask Flacco that question. Flacco apparently was doing an interview with them.
But you were there.
I approached the studio because I noticed that the live stream that they were doing had been stopped and immediately privated, and I thought that was really weird. So I went over to that side of the building and said, "What the fuck's going on?" And that's when the little confrontation that you saw on camera took place.
Do you think they planned that?
Yeah.
Do you think they were hired smear campaign people?
I would doubt that.
You know what bothered me about looking at that video?
Well,
Is that you said to the Perd Buster people, you are spreading lies and you should do some research, or do you do any research? Something to that effect. Do you remember saying that?
yeah, it's very, very true.
That was the very same sentiment that I was expressing to you when I text you about a story that someone from your company was running about me that was false, and a little bit of research would have showed how false it was. And what you said to me in a very braggadocious, I don't give a fuck type of manner was,
Why should I take it down?
I need to see something pretty significant for me to take the story down.
Mm.
And that be my problem with you content people.
Mm.
Y'all dish it in a way that y'all don't take it.
Get him.
What do you think of this?
Well, the first and most important thing I'd like to say is that the girl in question, I didn't even meet until she was 19. And I think this is a very important detail that I just want
We
to
don't
really
believe you. We seen
put
the
out
picture.
there. So, and I you gotta let me flesh this out a little bit, is that we're talking about back in the day when I think I was like 22, 21, 22, and I had met a girl on a message board at the time, right? And it was like an old like punk message board basically. And you know, I knew other people that knew her and stuff, so I thought that was all good. We started chatting a little bit. We get on the phone. She lived in Canada, right? And so then she tells me once we hop on the phone that she's actually 16. And so my response to that, even at that time, even at 22, I did the right thing. Obviously, like getting on the phone in the first place is bad, but I did the right thing. I said, hey, I know this isn't that big a deal to you because it's legal where you're from, but it's a big deal where I'm from. So that's it. I didn't speak to her after that for like 3.5 years. I was in a relationship for the vast majority of that time. And then I get out of that relationship and somehow me and that girl end up speaking again.
See, Joe, people, great minds think alike somehow, just miraculously. Don't you understand? I'm a man, he a man. You don't meet nobody and then 3 years go by, then somehow we just speak. No, that's not how life works. You sick motherfucker.
Somehow, I think I saw her on Facebook as like a recommended friend or something, and we sort of started speaking again.
And
then,
started
as
speaking
serendipity
again.
would have it, I ended
You
up
friend
having to
requested
go to
her,
this
you inboxed her,
meeting
ain't no
with
sort of
a company
started
that I'm
speaking
doing business
again.
with at the time in Canada. So I asked her, can I stay with you? And she says yes. So I go and I stay at her mom's house with her. She's 19 at this time, and I believe that would have meant that I was 25. And after that, we dated for a couple months.
Now you're 25.
And it didn't work out.
22.
Super short version. And so I really, I resent this narrative that people love pushing, claiming that I slept with this girl when she was underage. It's just like 100% not true. I didn't even meet her. I didn't shake her hand until she was of age.
So you
So that's the most important thing I want to communicate to you with this whole thing, is that this isn't a thing where
your story, you groomed her.
there's rumors out there about me and I'm embarrassed or whatever. No, it's like it didn't happen. Like, I did not meet this girl besides a brief phone call until she was of age. And I've said this, I said this on Academics' stream in 2018. I said it on Vlad's platform soon after that. But, you know, I feel like this is an important distinction, because if you want to smear me as somebody who's just down to hook up with an underage person, it really doesn't hold up, because I would hope that, like anybody, if you somehow ended up in that position of being on the phone with somebody, it's embarrassing that the phone call even happened in the first place, right? But I did not pursue anything after that, and this girl does not claim that I did. You know, if that was the case, it would have been probably reported in the media and everything, which it wasn't. So the whole thing that leads people to believe that is that there's an old blog post where I talked about the whole relationship with that girl, and I kind of like made a joke out of it at the time about the fact, and this is 2008, then I think I wrote about it. I made a joke about the fact that I, you know, had been pretty interested in her before I realized that she was underage, right? So that's where a lot of this joke's come from. But nobody ever includes the next paragraph where I say, but she was underage, so I immediately ceased communication with her, which to me is probably one of the most important details in this, right?
It's just convenient to say it's a joke when people don't agree with what you say.
Did you call that serendipity?
Well, the fact that I ended up in her exact city, that seemed kind of odd. Serendipity has probably too much of a positive context, but.
Adam, holy shit. Holy shit.
It's just murder.
You have a publicist?
I do.
Okay.
They should have told me not to use the word serendipity.
Well, y'all should probably work on your response to this stuff. You should not say the word serendipity, number one.
That's fair, but I'm just telling you what happened. I mean, like what I just told you is exactly what happened. So
I know, but I want to unpack a little bit of this, because I never knew that you fucked the girl. I thought this was a girl that you spoke to who was 16 when you thought she was 19. You found out how old she was, and you disappeared, and you got away from that, because that can be very dangerous.
Well, that is.
Hold on. He right. Now listen, as a man, I'm in my 40s now. You could go back how many every years. If I fuck a bitch, no matter how long ago it was, you subtract how many years old I was, you gotta subtract how many years she was, and she's still gonna wind up somewhere close to my age. Therefore, it could never be rape. The only way a bitch can come up years later and say you raped her is if you do some math and find out at the time I was underage and you was grown. That's it. We know how to add. We know how to fill in blanks and add facts of life, motherfucker. That's the only way. No girl who I fucked in my past can come back years later and say, oh, he raped me. No, you can't say that. Unless she was young and I was grown. See how that works? You can't change mathematics and age. So if you fuck a girl underage and then some time go by and she get grown, it still don't erase the fact that she was underage. So, yeah, you're not slick as you think you is.
Okay.
Especially dealing with a girl that young, number one, but they don't know shit about shit. They don't even know when they're putting somebody in danger, according to you. You say the girl was from wherever she was from, so she didn't know what she was doing, but you knew what you were doing. You said, I knew what I was doing, so I got away from her. Well, you didn't get away from her if, by the grace of God, she ends up back in your life while she's now of age. You're spending the night at her fucking mom's house. What type of white boy pervert shit what are you talking about?
What is the pervert shit about dating somebody once they're legal and of age?
Once they are legal, like you was calm down waiting.
I'm not saying
like
this
you
is
don't
what it
heard
is.
talking about some awesome twins are 18, jumping up and down in your 50s.
After
you watched them grow up from 2 years old, like what the fuck?
It's like we just sort of ended up
You waited for the girl. You waited for the girl, Adam.
Huh?
You waited for the girl.
I didn't wait for anything. We just ended up reconnecting later on.
How did you
That's
reconnect
not how life
later
works.
on? The Facebook algorithm put the girl in your bed?
Right.
You didn't know at that point that you probably shouldn't fuck the girl that you were talking to while she was 16 years old?
So because I met her when she was underage, I shouldn't have fucked her when I was over.
Not like how you did.
Yes, that's what I'm saying to you.
It don't work like
Well,
that.
in retrospect, I wish I had taken that advice. It would have made everything a lot simpler, right?
That's that sarcasm.
Well, yeah, you isolate that,
That's
right?
only
But then they
something.
have the little nasty tweet floating around where you talking about fucking young girls.
It was a joke, right?
I mean, that seems like an exaggeration. I have some edgy, jokey tweets
Edgy,
from like 2008 to 2012.
Every time you get caught, it's a joke.
But, you know, a lot of those are pretty
Are you a
fucking
comedian?
embarrassing in retrospect. I know you don't. I know that you remember Twitter back in the day and you know how fucking toxic it was.
It was bad.
Yup, Twitter
Which
was
is why
toxic.
I did a scroll
Always.
of all the bad things that
Twitter's
I had
still
to say.
toxic.
But I'm not going to use the word edgy when talking about fucking little girls. I don't think
I never
that's
put a post about
edgy.
fucking little girls.
Well, I think that's probably not 100% accurate. Do you want to quote
Nobody
any
I follow
particular
put a post
tweet?
about fucking little
I
girls.
mean, I'm talking to you, so I don't want to pull up the tweet, but you know the tweet exists and you know what's running around.
Well, yeah, there's definitely some bad jokes from that era in my
No
life.
bad
for sure.
jokes. Everything you do is a joke. You're not accountable for nothing. It's a joke.
No,
You're
I
a
haven't seen
fucking
her
joke,
since,
Adam.
I don't know,
You're a
2009,
fucking joke.
maybe?
Are you aware that there are communities of legal adult men who are into that type of shit?
I mean, I don't know anything about that, but yeah, probably.
Lord,
How come here?
Lord have mercy, Adam. You got yourself into quite the conundrum this time, buddy.
Is it really though? This is the same shit from 2018.
You know what's ill about this? This is not the same incident as the one that we spoke about privately, right?
What are we talking about privately?
That
How many
allegation,
people saying you're
I
right?
don't want to say because
No, this
Is
is
it the
that. This
same
is
or the
that
other
girl.
people, motherfucker?
wait a second, buddy. No fucking way.
Yeah, bro.
Yo, you are a nut. Wait. Wait a second. So when did she say this? So you fucked the girl and then she said this when?
So I fucked her in 2008 or whatever, and then 2018 I signed a deal with Atlantic, and that was the first time that I got to find out that she was gonna say that I raped her in 2008. So 10 years later, this accusation emerged from nowhere, and yeah.
But not from nowhere, because the universe gave you plenty of times to have nothing to do with this underage girl when she was underage.
Oh.
Then she got older.
So
Fucked her. She
I
disappeared.
didn't meet her until she was of age. Let's just make that perfectly clear.
Yeah. No, but you were speaking to her.
I spoke to her once before.
That's called speaking.
And you had friends that
Damn.
referred to
I would
her.
slap the shit out of him. I'd have
Well,
yelled
see,
at him
that's
within
why
the
I
first
thought
5
she
minutes
was
and then
because I
slapped
knew
him.
other guys that had hung out with her at the time, and I thought that it was, I thought that was a good reference, but it turns out no.
A good reference. They said she
You
was a
don't hear how
good
that
dick
sounds
sucker.
like some kinky social club shit.
Right. It was a good reference. She
I
took us
mean, I
all.
know you're not like
Slop us
into
all
the
up.
punk world, but
You used to have her on.
there's
You
a
could
lot
have our
of,
leftovers.
a lot
You
of people
like
sleeping with the
wifing
same-
up
the
sluts.
same people, I would say, especially at that time.
Yeah, well, don't bring punk world rules over to our good hip hop conversation, buddy. Don't you try it.
Well, I mean, it's probably the same in rap too. That like the same chicks end up hanging out with like a lot of the same guys.
We don't recommend them.
Man, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph.
You gotta find out on your own. I'm not gonna tell
Okay,
you.
so is there a correct, let me ask you this, let me pivot. Is there a correct way to fire friends in the content space?
Is there a correct way? I mean, I guess I would say just as gently as possible. If in terms of friends, would probably be the the advice that I would give if you're interested in trying to preserve the friendship, because we all know, or you know, especially that it's very tough to make an exit from working together and then still hold on to the friend thing, right?
I agree. I agree with that. Have you spoken to any of the guys that left since any of this?
Yeah. We've had some very cordial conversations over the course of the past couple of days. So I'm not, you know, I really feel like probably I'm not trying to like immediately be all up in their shit or whatever, but I feel like there's probably a pretty good chance that we all
That's
hang
probably
out
a
in the
really
near
shitty
future, and that it doesn't really seem as big as it seems right now. It's not like even with AD, you know, our conversation yesterday just made it clear. He's like, I still think of you as a brother.
I don't want to be all up in your shit. That's what
And I said, you know,
I'm
I appreciate that, because I don't think nothing occurred between us that was so big that
set you up for
we
something.
couldn't get past it. You know, I feel like if anything, you know, it just made more sense for them to do their own thing business-wise, and you know, I wish them well. Honestly, it's not something that I begrudge them for. I'm actually really happy to see them doing their own thing, and even though I wish that I had been able to incubate it better, you know, I feel like I know a lot more now in terms of how I'll approach this kind of thing in the future.
Got it. Do you
have a problem?
Do you have any of the people that left running around saying that you stole from them or that you owe them any money? Were you able to dodge that bullet or no?
No, that's not even the case. Everybody who gets paid by us, I mean, now I see some of them kind of complaining about what they were getting paid, which, you know, from my perspective, it's like, realistically, I didn't know how much most of you were getting paid, because I figured that if there was a problem, you would have said something. And then I find out after the fact that some people had some resentment about what they were getting paid, and I didn't even know. So, you know, that's definitely part of the whole thing. But no, in terms of just not paying people at all, no, I haven't heard anything like that.
Were you paying well?
I mean, there's a lot of rumors about what we were paying people, and like almost everything is total bullshit. I've seen people talking about this guy gets paid 6 figures. I've seen people talking about this guy. I don't know. There's all kinds of crazy shit out there. I thought that I was paying people decently for, you know, realistically, like being on camera. A lot of it was like being on camera a couple hours a week. So I felt pretty all right.
Well, that's where it gets dangerous, buddy. Talking about minimalizing the job. Take it from me firsthand. But no, that's why I was asking you if you thought you paid well. There was a lot of rumors going around when I fired my old co-host, but one thing I was standing on was everybody over here is paid well. I don't know what people are talking about. People are paid way more than what these companies say that these microphones on these podcasts should be making. So are you standing in that, or in hindsight, do you see the areas where maybe it could have been a little better?
I mean, my whole thing, and I don't know how popular this is if you want a raise, you got to ask for a raise. I've had employees over the years who just kept asking for raises every year or two, and they kept getting raises every year or two because they were valuable to us enough that we needed them. So I don't really understand how somebody could like complain about the pay if they weren't like trying to get paid more, you know?
Yeah. You said you spoke to these guys. Any conversations about maybe bringing any of them back? A closure conversation?
Well, AD did say that he would be happy to come back on the platform at some point if we wanted to have a conversation or whatever, so I'll probably take him up on that at some point. But in terms of doing consistent stuff on camera, I kind of feel like it's probably best that we have some kind of, you know, division between whatever they're building and whatever I'm building.
All right, tell me what you've learned from all this. Or a few things that you've learned from all this.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that you gotta like lay down pretty strict boundaries early on in a relationship like this, I think, you know? And you can't just let it go wild. I feel like, you know, the whole drama element, you know, I kept seeing people refer to us as like the Jerry Springer of hip-hop YouTube. And as much as you said that you thought that a lot of that shit was fake and scripted, I've never faked anything or scripted anything with these guys. I can't say that they've never scripted anything on their own because there's definitely been some like, you know, fake fights that weren't actually fights that happened on the channel a while back. But no, I've never approached it like that. And I feel like, you know, where I'm at now, it kind of feels like, you know, your first girlfriend when you're young versus once you've had 10 or 20 girlfriends. You're just gonna know how to have a healthy relationship a lot better once you've got some experience under your belt, right?
Boy, you fuck with hoes.
I would hope so.
So, you know, I feel much more
first
equipped
slut to your
to
10th slut.
build something, like to build a cast of characters and everything. It sucks that I wasn't able to, you know, do it with these guys, but, you know, ultimately, yeah, like I feel like even listening to T-Rel talk about how he wanted to do everything under no jumper, but then he didn't really feel like we were offering enough, or that we were, like, you know, in terms of content, not money, but like he didn't feel like we were motivated enough to really build out like a full content slate with him. And I mean, I think he's probably got the most potential realistically. He's just been going crazy. The views on his Back on Big streams are crazy. And, you know, if I was to be in that if I could turn the clock back a year right now, I would have definitely said, like, okay, I recognize this motivation that this person has, and I wanna jump in there, and I wanna fucking, you know, embrace them as much as possible. Sometimes with me moving so fast and doing so many fucking interviews and everything, it's just, I don't know. I didn't have enough of my eye on the ball to realize what I had in that moment. And, you know, I can't like fully blame myself because that was such a new thing to me. And now I just feel like I have like a way better perspective on it.
All right. All right, well, I hope you don't get yourself into too much trouble out here, young man. How much of No Jumpers content will you actually participate in from this point moving forward? Like, how much of the network do you have to put on your shoulders and carry right now? Because for a second, it looked like you were successfully segueing out of any of that.
No, I mean, all the interviews and stuff have always been like, you know, 80 to 90% me. Sometimes I have the other guys co-host and everything. T-Rel was doing a bunch of interviews for a while. And then the Tuesday show has always kind of been me leading it for the most part. I don't know. I mean, I guess like my main thing is that I think I realized that I'm not, you know, desperately trying to grow this thing. Like, I want to do something solid and consistent that I'm happy with. And, you know, I don't necessarily feel like we need to have, you know, 5 live shows a week or whatever. I feel like at this point, I'm perfectly happy to, you know, slow it down a little bit and really try to focus on finding some more co-hosts that we are happy with and just sort of keep building from there. I'm not trying to like compete with the view counts that we were doing 6 months ago or a year ago or whatever.
Well, I think that is a perfect segue. I will now allow you the floor, just in case you would like to apologize to Joe Budden for any of the network digs and jabs that you were taking over the years when I was losing all of my people and you were recruiting more and more.
Well, so I think my main thing that I said at the time, and I guess you can just tell me if you agree with it, my main thing was,
You could say, Joe, damn, I didn't even see all that shit you was going through. I didn't think that I too would be going through those things. It's a lot of adversity when you're trying to do some things. Sometimes you can have too much dip on your chip. Sometimes you can get caught feeling yourself. Sometimes you can confide in people and they can stab you in the back and share some other shit. Like, come on, you can do it. So I totally empathize with your position, and maybe I should have called and checked on you rather than interview anybody that had any dealings or interactions with you that had anything negative to say about you.
who are we even talking about, though? Marissa?
Anybody.
No
Anybody.
self-accountability, no apology.
You talk about interview Rory Hall, right?
Anybody that has held a Joe Budden part, you have had on your show.
Who? Marissa and then Rory and Maul.
Melissa, Rory, Maul, Bridget, Mandy.
In order to apologize, you must first take accountability and admit that you did something wrong. Like, what I done did. He don't think he did nothing wrong?
I mean, you name them, anybody.
Yeah, but did they talk shit about you like that?
Oh, look at this guy. Look at this guy. Look at this guy.
No
I've been
apology.
friends with Mandy for years. How you gonna act like me and her is all about you?
Well, you were friends with that little 19-year-old for years too, so your discernment in that
Woo!
in case you wanted to.
Okay, Joe, I apologize, but also I would like to, I want to emphasize my main criticism or my main take on it. I remember at the time was that I ended up feeling.
Mr. Breaks It Down. I actually have a video called How to Apologize. The way he just said it is like saying I'm sorry. And then like, that's kind of like what they call it, a courtesy offer. Like, you want some of these chips? Really, I don't want to give you none, but I just want to say I asked you. But just saying that is like, oh, I'm sorry, like shut up and let's move on. Oh, well, I apologize. Like, you said it too fast right after you just tried to deny when he broke down every single category of what you should be apologizing for. You denied and tried to deny every category as if you don't feel like you sorry or you did nothing wrong. So that's the definition of a fake ass apology. After you deny doing nothing wrong, now you just say, well, I apologize because he brought up the 19-year-old. Like, you don't want him to keep antagonizing how much information and details he really got about it. So you just gonna hurry up and apologize to try to you're the king deflector.
Like, Joe could have kept things going with his old co-host if you had just been a little bit more transparent and a little bit nicer. Do you think that that's...
But I didn't want to keep things going. The same way you don't want to keep things going.
So you saw that, you didn't want that to work.
It wasn't going to work, Adam. I knew that before any of that shit went public. I wanted to put my people on salary. They were offended by that. I didn't think they worked hard enough to be offended by that, and that was the end of the discussion for us. Whatever happened after that happened.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Like, I was relieved a little bit. Great, now I can run my business the way I would like to run it. I'm asking you if you feel any sense of relief or burden off your shoulders now that your company is running a little more like you wanted it to.
I mean, you're always gonna have a sense of relief when you have like literally
Yes or no
less
question.
work and less people to worry about, right? But I didn't consider those guys a burden. I really like all those guys as people. You know, it's like, and I actually really like, you know, I value them as people, and I want to work with them in the future in some way. But I don't want to talk about them like they were a burden.